Do you find yourself looking at your phone, constantly seeing if they texted you? When we meet someone and it seems that they tick all of our boxes, sometimes it can be hard to not feel flooded with all these different thoughts of, will we actually have a future together? And then if we really like them, we start waiting anxiously for a text back. Touching my phone. Did they text me? Did they text me? Did they text me? And in that process, we end up putting them on a pedestal. And as a result, we might even push them even further away. So today we're going to talk about how to stop obsessing over someone in the stages of early dating. All right. Well, first, before we even get into those steps, we need to talk about infatuation. Oh my goodness. Today, we actually want to introduce the idea of the glow effect. Ooh. The glow effect is a cognitive bias where our overall impression of a person that's often based on a single positive trait influences how we perceive the other qualities of that person. For example, if they have really good looks, you find them very physically attractive, sometimes we assume that they have great character. We say to ourselves, they're attractive, so they must be kind, they must be God-fearing, and they must have some emotional maturity. And we just assume that that means that they are living out those things fully in their life without actually really knowing them.
What's important to note is that infatuation and the glow effect has a shelf life. This is quite literally a dopamine fuel process that we like to refer to as the merry-go-round. And sure enough, every merry-go-round stops and you have to make a decision on whether or not you want to move forward with this imperfect person.
So now that we've talked about infatuation and the glow effect, let's talk about 5 things to do if you find yourself obsessing over someone.
So the first step we want you to do and stop obsessing over people is identify your feelings. What is actually coming up for you? It's so funny to me how we just kind of skirt through our young adult crush, obsessing life, and we never really take inventory of what we're actually feeling.
Anxiety is actually fear of something in the future that you don't know about. So you go through worst case scenarios, interpreting, what if this happens? What if this happens? Or what if this happens? And it leads you to this anxious tunnel of all these thoughts, worrying about what might possibly happen or not happen in the future. And so typically when you are obsessing over somebody, you end up having anxiety. When you're on your phone checking, are they going to text me back? Did they not text me back? I wonder if I didn't use enough punctuation. I wonder if I overused punctuation. I wonder if I just shouldn't have said that. That is you downward spiraling because you are obsessed with this person because you fill in the blanks about who they are. And now you are constantly wondering about some sort of fear that's unknown in the future, typically to do if they're going to like you or not. Side note, even if you have an avoidant tendency, as in you have a fear of commitment, you might still struggle with anxiety. Anxiety is not limited to only those who struggle with anxious attachment style. Anxiety is universal. It's a feeling that every single human can experience.
For example, you might struggle with FOBO, fear of a better option, meaning you're anxious about making the wrong decision and you have a hard time committing because you might be committing to someone and there's a better option around the corner, and so therefore you're scared.
All right, so first, identify your feeling. Second, then you do the why test. I love this one. So let's say your initial thought is, well, what if they aren't texting me back? What if they stop texting me back? What if they ghost me? Then you go through the second one. Well, why? Why would that even bother me? Well, because it would mean that they've lost interest in me and they don't like me anymore. Okay, let's go on why further. Well, why would that be so bad? Well, because it would mean that I'm not good enough or I'm not lovable. Okay, well, why would it mean that you're not lovable? Well, no, it's not true. God's love is unconditional, and I don't have to earn his love. And human love should reflect that too. I shouldn't have to earn somebody's love. If someone stops texting me or even ghosts me, it doesn't define my worth. It just means that they weren't my person. And you know what? At the end of the day, I'm going to be okay. By asking why repeatedly, you expose the faulty core belief, like I have to earn love, or nobody's ever going to find me lovable or worthy. And then once you find that lie, you replace it with God's truth about you. This technique often helps break emotional spirals and strengthens your faith-based thinking. It's literal renewing of your mind in lifetime.
Number 3 is guard your heart. I love this verse in Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Tim Keller says it a lot like this when it comes to having idols. Anything in your heart of hearts that you say, I have to have that in order to be happy, has become an idol. And a lot of times, if we're not guarding our heart, well, it's latching on. It really is latching on to ideas, people, things, promotions, anything that we internally assort as positive. I have to have this. My life will be much better if only I have this. The best question to ask yourself here is, do I really know this person well enough to like them this much? And a really good litmus test is if you are constantly checking your phone, your DMs, checking Find My Friends if you have their location, that's a pretty good indicator that you're putting way too much stock in this relationship way too early, and you're finding yourself in the same pattern.
And similarly, it's really important that you don't just reveal everything in your heart and about yourself early on to somebody that you're dating. We call this getting emotionally naked, and trust us, this is not the way to guard your heart. I don't care if you feel like you've known them forever and they have every single quality that you're looking for. If it's only been 1 month of talking to them, you should not be sharing every single thing in your heart with them. So ask yourself, do I really know this person well enough to be this invested? Do I really know this person well enough to be sharing these things with them? All right, number 4, prioritize your purpose over obsession. For this, I mean, focus on your mission, your godly mission and purpose in your life. Matthew 6:33 says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So here's what you got to do. Stay focused on your calling, your growth, and what God has called you to do. Fill your time with activities that glorify God. Serve at a church. Build strong friendships, because you being a good friend is going to determine how well you are in a relationship and then in a marriage one day. Develop a skill, pick up a hobby, do incredible things. Attraction to somebody should complement your purpose, not consume it. Listen to that again. Attraction to somebody should complement your purpose, not consume it entirely. And if you're walking in your purpose, you're less likely to become fixated on another person because your life is already filled. You're already going in an awesome direction, and you don't need somebody to fulfill that direction in your life.
Yeah, I have a great example of this. I have a friend who is addicted to Diet Coke, and his New Year's resolution was to go off Diet Coke. It's kind of hard to just stop. He set an additional goal, which was to drink 100 ounces of water a day.
Wow.
He could not drink Diet Coke because he was so consumed by filling himself with water every single day. It doesn't just work to just stop. We have to also fill with something that's better for us.
So good.
So in this situation, it's hard to stop texting someone and obsessing with them if we're doing nothing with our Thursday night from 6 to 10 p.m. It's kind of easy to stop obsessing over somebody if I'm very busy from 6 to 10 p.m. feeding the homeless. If I'm very busy 6 to 10 p.m. babysitting my friends or my pastor's kids for free because I want to serve them. And number 5, one of my personal favorites, is surrender control to God. What does that look like? Well, for me, obsession thrives in uncertainty, right? When I'm just fixated on the future and the uncertainty of life. Versus when I feel like I surrender to God's timing and control, I can truly focus on the here and now. My imagination, my mind, my entire being is just simply focus on the here and now. With the person that you're dating or talking to, that's just focus on taking it one date at a time. I love in God's word how Philippians 4:6-7 says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God. For me, this is acknowledging my tendency to be anxious, and 2, my willingness to say, God, I need you. I have this tendency. I have this weakness.
Yeah.
I want to fixate in my mind and my soul, my heart, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving out of gratitude and focus. Gratitude does what? It roots us in the here and now. my mind doesn't drift and start imagining in the future.
You know, it actually is true that gratitude and anxiety cannot exist at the same time in the brain. So the more you prioritize gratitude, the less anxiety will be in your brain. And when we say surrender to God, we're really also talking here about surrendering all the what ifs and not going down that downward spiral of what if, because that's the obsession that thrives on uncertainty. The more you go down the path of what if, the more you're going to get stuck on that anxious downward spiral, and you're going to become obsessed with this other person. All right, so let's review those steps again. First, identify your feeling. Typically, it's anxiety. Second, do the why test. Third, guard your heart. Fourth, prioritize your purpose over the obsession. And fifth, surrender to God. Hey, if you guys like this video, we have a podcast that comes out every single Wednesday on the Heart of Dating, and we would love to have you because we have longer conversations and we talk about all things dating, every subject you can imagine. So visit us over on our channel, Heart of Dating. We would love to have you join the family.